What's going on, everybody? It's October 17th, 2022, daily episode log 31. And today I'm going to be covering the trade that I took and covered in the Telegram. I know today was a little bit hectic, and I'll kind of explain why later on the video. Hopefully some of you were able to take this trade along with me. I know I wasn't able to update it, and I know I did say I was going to stay flat, but I left my limit on. I actually went out, I was eating breakfast, and then I came back to the chart, saw that my limit was triggered, and ultimately it led to take profit. So you can see here, that's my entry and the partials taken. Overall, I believe it was over 20 points or so. So amazing start to a Monday, and you guys got to see kind of how I framed work and how I was able to switch biases. I know in the morning forecast and even from yesterday, the weekly prediction, I was looking for bearish prices, and I was ultimately wrong, but that didn't result in a loss. And that's something that I would really like to annotate, because most people, I guess, don't know how to switch biases that quickly and be able to kind of readjust and get in alignment with order flow. And I think that's the biggest key part of being a experienced trader and a consistently profitable trader, is being able to leave one bias and switch to another and having an understanding with logic why that is. So let's go down to, let me delete this. So looking at the daily time frame, we just opened on the week and traded higher into this fair value gap here, and we're trading inside of this balanced price range. We actually gapped open today, which I wanted to see on ES if we did. It looks like we did as well. So that does change a few things for us. I still believe we're bearish overall, but I was talking about, I believe in the weekly forecast, how if this did change, that's how you just go back up to your higher time frames and start to figure out your narrative. Is the narrative still at play, or were you wrong, and do you have to switch gears and get in alignment? Now, I believe we're still bearish. I would like to see in the weekly time frame now the weekly high to be taken out, and for us to trade maybe back into this fair value gap and then see lower prices. Okay, looking at the daily time frame, we're trading back into that premium relative from the dealing range high down to the dealing range low. So we're inside of a premium. We're reusing these PD arrays, and this is my kind of last point of defense. In a sense, I would like to see this not traded above, and if we do, then ultimately we'll start looking for the buy side here. But for now, I'm going to still continue with my bearish bias, especially because we opened higher. So I'd like to see us close that gap coming into tomorrow. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, I was talking about how I saw this. This was something that I did see, but I just didn't want to lean into that because I'm overall bearish. So we're returning into that discount, coming off of that order block here and trading higher. Okay, so looking at the 1 hour, I was talking about how coming into the session and even the weekly forecast, I was looking at the 1 hour for value gap here to be traded into and see how we react off of it. And the way you protect yourself, especially with the YouTube model, is you wait and see how you react on lower time frames to this. There was nothing in here that signaled a bearish setup at all. And even on the 4 hour, we were all watching this fair value gap here. And as soon as we closed above it, I said shorts are off the table. There's no reason that we should be looking for shorts anymore. And that's just when you switch gears and you say, okay, what's the nearest term buy side liquidity? What is price seeking and spooling towards? So I was looking at this buy side liquidity here, and I'll go down to lower time frames to annotate exactly what I was looking at. So the overall context of this trade was we took out sell stops on a daily time frame. We displaced higher. We came back into that fair value gap inside of a discount, and now we're rallying higher to take out the buy side liquidity. So I'm looking for a setup that qualifies me to get into a trade to target that buy side liquidity. I'm not just jumping in here at any random, point. So if we go down to the 5 minute, And there's gonna be a lot of annotations today. So let me try to delete some of this stuff. Looking at the 5-minute. I annotated when we were resting here. I was annotating from this dealing range low to the dealing range high. I was looking at this fair value gap. I wanted price to trade into that fair value gap because it's inside of a discount. This fair value gap does not qualify for a trade because it's not inside of a discount. So that's just one of the opportunities that are set with these rules. You have to just obey them and understand it's your entry or nothing. You know, you're going to demand your entry or you just stay out of the market. So price traded higher from here. And this was nearing probably midway through New York session. And honestly, I was just looking at it. And when I said I'm going to stay flat, which means I'm probably just neutral, price was, I thought we were going to react off of this and just trade higher. I honestly didn't think we were going to come into this discount. So I left my limit on here. And well, first I took my limit away and then I placed it back on before I went and made some breakfast and I was away from the charts. And I think I put it on the 15-minute. So it was a little bit higher than I anticipated. And it was right around the discount low of this 5-minute. So when I got back to the charts, price was right around here and I was already triggered in. So I was looking at this and I said, okay, this has to hold. My stop loss, and if you're watching the Telegram, when I'm annotating a fair value gap, you guys should know from just watching ICT's videos where you should be placing your stop loss. I shouldn't have to tell you where to place your stop loss, where to put your take profit, when to take partials. I mean, I say when to take partials, but you should already know how to do this. You know, I'm holding your hand in a sense, but I'm not going to sit here and guide you through every little step. That's not going to make you a independent, successful trader. There's no point of even trying to learn this if you only rely on somebody else. What happens if that person goes away and no longer posts anymore? Then you're no longer successful. I want to make people successful on their own. That's the whole point of what I'm doing. The same thing was the ICT did. You know, it's teaching us how to fish, not to, you know, just take signals from somebody. So I was watching this and then I was going down to a 2-minute time frame and even a 1-minute time frame. So I was looking at the 2-minute, looking at this fair value gap here, which is inside of that 5-minute. And I saw price displace into here, and I was already inside of the trade. And if you look at the 1-minute, we even have this fair value gap here. I can make it orange just so it's a little more visible. And we traded into it. So it was really, really good signs. And we saw this displacement higher. And I think I posted right around here. I was already inside of the trade. So if you're looking at this at a 5-minute, or even let's go to a 2-minute, 3-minute looks nice. You're taking out sell stops. Okay, you're coming into a fair value gap that's inside of a discount. And then you see that displacement higher. For me, this was enough. The discount and fair value gap is already enough for me to get into the trade. I don't need to particularly wait for the sell stops to be ran on a 2-minute, 1-minute, because that work has already been done on the daily time frame, on the 4-hour. If you guys remember, we ran out those sell stops from last week. So I don't particularly need to see this and then see the displacement, then wait for the fair value gap. I already have the backbone and the context on the 5-minute. Okay. And then once we displaced above here, this was our market structure shift. And I was annotating if we came back into this fair value gap here, this would be a valid entry. Like, let's say we just dipped down to that and then rose higher, that would be a valid entry for me if I didn't get in already, or if you guys didn't. So price eventually displaced higher. I'm going to wait. There's a zoom button there. So price eventually displaced higher. We came back into actually this little fair value gap right here. Taking out sell stops underneath this low. We did it once, twice, and then eventually we continue to rise, and then I believe we just opened and gapped open. So this was very, very choppy. By the time I was 90% off the table, and you can see through my executions, you can see through the profits that are on Telegram. I was already basically 90% out, and I was just holding that position at break even, and then price opened on the day, and we hit take profit. So that was really, really nice to see. And that's another reason why I take partials, because you never know that price is going to be like this. You know, I could have held out. Eventually, it would have hit take profit, but that's so much time sitting inside of this trade. I would rather take my partials, take my pound of flesh, and kind of just get out of the market. That's my mentality. If you go out to a 15-minute, I was also looking at this fair value gap, which is the 5-minute, the 2-minute, the 1-minute. I'm looking at the 30-minute, same thing. Looking at the 1 hour, same thing. And what's to the left of us? Balanced price range. So that's even a more sensitive area for us, okay? Same thing on the 30-minute, 15-minute. I don't believe on the 5-minute. But this is a really sensitive area for me, and it was just a beautiful trade overall. You know, some guy commented on my Twitter, and some of you guys went to bat for me, which I appreciate, but he was like, your entry is the wrong entry, or something along the lines of that. And it's funny that people just spread hate even though you're in a position that's winning. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, man. Like, people just want to spread hate when they see people succeeding and winning. You know, winners will never hate on somebody else. Like, I never spread hate to anybody else. I'm always encouraging. I'm always trying to help people. I'm never out here spreading hate. People that do that are losers, and that literally don't have anything to show for themselves. So if you're out there spreading hate and trying to critique everybody, maybe you should take a look at yourself, because that's a real indication of what's going on with you. But going into tomorrow, let me go ahead and fast forward this. I would like to see price close this gap here. I don't see a reason for us to return into this fair value gap here. I would like to see us just punch above the buy side liquidity here. And depending on how we trade tomorrow, we could be seeing a possible higher move into the buy side liquidity resting above these relative equal highs here. So annotate that on your charts. This is a really nice pool of liquidity resting above here. I'm not saying we're bullish by any means, but it's something to definitely keep your eye on. And if we're, you know, extremely bullish above this buy side liquidity here, could be a good indication that we could rise into the buy side liquidity at 38.06. Looking at the 4 hour, same thing. Honestly, I don't want to be too early to call it, but I honestly would like the buy side liquidity to be ran. We'll just have to see what happens overnight. It's way too early for me to really give out any solid predictions, but we ran out the sell stops. We've displaced higher. We're using bullish order flow, which is a pretty good indication of price. I would annotate the 4 hour fair value gap here, which is also a balanced price range if you look to the left of it. So definitely keep an eye on that. And I think that's going to be it for today. I will go ahead and annotate in the morning what my thoughts are with the usual morning log. So until then, good luck and good trading, everybody.